Hello, you lovely lot. Welcome back to my channel, and let's answer a question that literally has been asked more than almost any other. Should you revive your old Etsy store or open a new Etsy store? And this is something that confuses so many Etsy sellers, and there is no exact science to this. There's no exact answer. Before I get into the parameters or guidelines for you to help you make this decision on your old Etsy store, I just want to say something really important about your existing store that you're questioning. Etsy's going to be tightening, or looks like they're going to be tightening entry requirements onto getting a new store opened on Etsy. So they're mulling over and looking at a fee to join the platform, and they're also possibly looking at raising the listing fee as well, along with tighter entry requirements. So what I want to get over to you here, first of all, is that every store that you have that's open is an asset. It's actually an asset because it's not so easy to open a new store now. So in the following 5, 6, 7 minutes where I tell you all about whether to keep your existing store or open a new one, always keep the existing store open. You don't have to use it. You don't have to do anything with it. It's an asset. Keep it open. You might use it in a year or two's time. You might not be able to open a new store and need the existing one. So whatever you decide to do, keep the existing store open. Now let's dive into all the different options for whether you should keep your existing store and try and revive it or open a new store. Let's go. Right, the first category of store, and this is one that I see all the time, is old, over 5 years in age, and no sales. So if it's an old store with no sales, just leave the existing store as it is and open a new one. There's no doubt about it. You need to just get straight into a new store and start building that new store and keep the old one as an asset. Now, the next range of store to look at is what I call medium age. So that's 2 to 5 years. So if your store's 2 to 5 years old and it also has no sales, it's in the same boat as the old store. Keep the existing store, open a new store, build and grow the new store. Don't bother trying to turn around or revive the existing store. The final area is if you have a store that's under 2 years old with no sales, try and revive the existing store. Try it. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to work or, whether you're going to get very far, but under 2 years, it's worth giving it a go on the existing store first. Then if it doesn't work, you can open a new store and try building and growing that. So anything under 2 years, no sales, try reviving the existing store. Now let's get into the grey area, or the more difficult area, when stores have some sales. This makes it more difficult to judge. And look, if your particular store is not answered in this video, just drop me a comment in my comments and I'll take a look at it and get back to you on that. I'm not going to be able to hit everyone's store here. I'm just going to hit the most likely cases. So if a store has under 10 sales. If you have under 10 sales in this store you're thinking about reviving, the same rules apply. So if it's over 5 years old, leave it, open a new store. If it's 2 to 5 years old, leave it, open a new store. If it's under 2 years or under in age, try to revive the existing store. Because you've got some sales history, but 10 sales and under as a marker is a huge number of stores. So many people just got a couple of sales and then didn't bother with the store. So this is going to include a lot of sellers. So stick to the same rules as the 0 sales yearly entries that I mentioned. If you've got over 10 sales, so, literally over 10 sales, but 20, 50, 100, 200, try reviving the store on all ages. So it doesn't matter how old it is. Even if it's 10 years old, try, because the sales give trust. So when someone looks at the store and they see you've got, 20 sales, 50 sales, 100 sales, okay, you might not have worked in the store for 3 or 4 years, but it's still a level of trust, and that is an asset. That is an asset on top of the asset of the store being open. So all ages, over 10 sales, try to revive the store. And of course, if it doesn't revive and doesn't work, you can open a new store. And the new store, remember, when you open a new Etsy store, you get a boost from Etsy for around 3 months after opening. So this is why opening a new store is always a good idea if you can't get the old one to work. So now that I've given guidelines to the ages and the sales, what do you do? So let's get into what you do with either the existing store or the new store. Let's get into that. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is go and check the inventory in your store. You need to remove and replace all items that have no sales. So anything that hasn't sold, you need to swap out with new items, because there's no use leaving dead old items in your store. Etsy's not interested in them. It doesn't care about these items. So start slowly swapping out your old items for new items in your store. It's like a refresh. It's like a shop putting new spring and summer items into its store in terms of being a bricks and mortar store. It's a refresh, it's an upgrade. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is you need to look at how many items you've got in your store and set yourself a target of growth. So it's no use just changing over the items. We've got to give Etsy more reason to come and check your store out and come and look at what's going on, what's happening in your store. Give Etsy reasons to get back over to your store and check it out. So a useful growth thing is make sure you get to at least 100 items. So I talk about this all the time. I know lots of you will have heard me say this. Get to 100 items first of all. And then if you're already at that level and you're cycling out inventory, bringing new inventory in, try to put 50% more inventory on whatever number of listings you have, so that you're giving Etsy a decent growth path. And do it slowly. There's no need to go fast here. You can go slowly and steadily, and that will make Etsy come back every day and check what needs to be indexed. And now you're showing Etsy movement and change and updates. And this is what it wants, especially in an old store or a new store that you're going to build and grow. If it's a new store, you build and grow from zero. So get yourself to 100 listings in your store. And if you can't, don't worry. Lots of people say, Nick, I can't get to 100 listings. It doesn't matter. Just do what you can, 20, 30, 40, 50. Whatever you can manage to do that. And usually when you can't get to 100 items, it means you're putting lots more time into your products. That's a good thing, which means on average, you're more likely to succeed than someone, say, doing POD t-shirts. Because if you're putting time into the products, it takes time to get there. So just do what works for you. Don't take my advice as absolutes. Just bend it to what you're doing. If you can only do 30 items, fine, 30. If it's 20, 20, 50, whatever, do what you can. Set yourself that target. Know the limit, set yourself your limit and that target and go for it. And try to get there. And don't worry if it takes 6 months or a year to get there. Just get there. That's the main thing. And your reviving process will have a better chance of succeeding. The last piece of information, and this is something I've talked about multiple times, but I've got to mention it here. You've got to work on photography and video, either in the reviving of the existing store or the new store. Most clients, most sellers that I work with, their photography is not good enough, and neither is the video. So spend time working on your photography and video. Bright, well-lit photography, no shadows, no sunlight, object front and center in the shot, video showing the item in use, which is what we all want to see as customers, isn't it? If we're buying a necklace, we want to see the necklace on a neckline and see what it looks like. It's so many sellers get that wrong. Show the product in use for video. So get into my comments. Let me know if you have a store that you're thinking of reviving. I'll comment on it and let you know what you should do. And of course, if it's not so straightforward, book in for a call with me. I'll advise you to book in for a call with me and I'll solve it for you in a consultation one-on-one. And last of all, there are a few seats left on my March 2024 workshops. I think there's 6 or 7 seats left. First one is this Saturday, 5 p.m. EET. 2nd of March. The second one is the 9th of March, Saturday, 5 p.m. EET. The link is in the description to book in. I look forward to seeing you in that, and I look forward to seeing you in my comments. See you.